Hello, everyone. Welcome to Free Minds Right Week. Thank you for joining us today. This is a mutual exchange of hope and healing. My name is Carlos. I am a Free Minds facilitator in our community outreach program called On the Same Page. I cannot thank you enough for being here with us today and bringing your invaluable comments to our members' poems. It brings light to a very dark place, and I know this because I've done 25 years behind those walls. Joining us today is Poet Ambassador Vance. Vance just came home and was released under IRA. Vance, before anything, can we start by you sharing a poem with us that written by yourself?
No problem. Everyone, my name is Vance. I want to share a poem with you all that I have written a few years ago called Self Portrait. I am painting my self portrait. For this work, I have chosen the colors of purple, yellow, and pink. The purple stands for my strength, courage. Yellow stands for my ripeness, and the pink stands for my best condition. The background of my self portrait will have purple, yellow, and pink, lightly intertwined, substituting the evening sky, obscuring the rising of the sun from the west, because my life has been stricken by adversity and pain. In my self portrait, I will be holding a huge red queen chess piece because of the evolution that it represents is an important understanding in my life. In my self portrait, excuse me, in my self portrait, my eyes will look like books with turning pages. When people see my self portrait, I think they will say, interesting, different, complex, and profound. I would like to give my self portrait to my sister because I want her to understand and smile. The title of my self portrait will be The Red Queen's Race by Vance Conti. The Red Queen's Race is an evolutionary process. For instance, how the universe works, it takes your hurt to help you find more of yourself.
Man, thank you for sharing that. Um, Tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, first, like, how long you been home?
I've been home 4 months and maybe 2.5 weeks.
Wow. So definitely got to tell you, and it never gets old to hear. And I know, like, welcome home. Um, this poem right here that you pick is very powerful, and I've shared with you not too long ago that this is a poem that when I was doing a lot of PAs, poet ambassador stuff in a lot of events. This is a poem that I read a lot, and looking for poems to share. I ran across it and I was like, man, this is a small world, man. This is the Vance that wrote this poem that I used to like, man. So definitely appreciate you sharing that poem, not just with the Free Minds family, but with the community. Because, like I said, I can't tell you how many times I actually read that poem right there. So it's like it's nice to put a face to that poem and to hear you recite it with your own voice. That's definitely like a plus. Let me ask you something like what were you going through? Where were you at or anything that relates to what made you write this poem right here?
I think that poem came about when I finally, in prison you get those spurts of that internal calmness. Normally my mind would be running rampant and it would just be clouded with so much stuff. But I think I say like that particular hour, I'm not even gonna say that day, I'm gonna say whatever was going on in my life, which I can't really pinpoint right offhand, but that particular hour that I took, or maybe less than an hour, I was feeling peaceful. I was feeling more so like transformative. I felt, uh, I guess, my maturity starting to supersede my ignorance.
Mm.
and it came out like it just came out like that. Like, you know what? I'm more smarter than the things I do, and I have a better understanding of myself and the things that was going on in my life. And I felt like, you know what? I'm not going to be okay. I might be in prison, but I'm not going to be in that uh, ignorant mind state because I know I'm a better person.
And that's
And
like
that's why I kind of spoke about the whole evolutionary thing, transforming,
yeah,
recognizing.
and you say that, and that's like a something that stands out like so clearly, like your evolution, your growth, right? Um, a question like uh, education, like how much of an impact has that had in your evolution and your growth?
It depends, like when you say education, for me, if we're talking about like school education and things of that sort, uh, my education, I have a GED, but as far as education, like in regards to uh, the challenges in life, you know, I put myself as having a master's, a
Yeah,
master's degree, and that alone just from things I've experienced uh, as a child growing up all the way up until today.
yeah,
And I look at that stuff, and at one time I used to just let things happen and wouldn't really reflect on what was happening, why it was happening. But now, as time went on, I looked at things, okay, why is this happening? And then I can come up and say, okay, this is why this is happening. This is preparing me
hmm
for that. And one of the things I always like to go back to is uh, losing my mother.
hmm
That was like that was like when I hit rock bottom,
hmm
but I was still trying to like refrain from changing. But I know something she always wanted me to do was at that time, be a better child. You're not stupid. You're intelligent. And so I used to, you got that voice in your head,
yeah.
the good voice, the bad voice. I used to
And,
fight against
and
it.
and reading that poem, like that poem that you read for us, like when I read it, I know that's my connection to it, like to reflect within and like allow people who to see who I am. You know what I mean? And as poet ambassadors, I also relate to it in that way because this is what we want. We want the community to see who we are. As you know, as we've grown, not by what we have done in our past, but who we are today. You know what I mean? Another question, real quick. You, how long have you been a Free Minds member?
Maybe since 20, hmm, I can't even remember. Like, I just, I mean,
And and
uh,
and and well, just looking at this poem because you wrote this in 2020, and that's like a long time. About let's say three to 7 years. That's a lot of time. But
okay, 2000, maybe 2018 now,
2018, okay. Um,
1918.
and in that time, you send in a lot of poems to Free Minds, and and you receive a lot of feedback.
Initially, no, I didn't in the beginning, but uh, the guy that introduced me to Free Mind, he had let me read something he wrote,
Mhm.
and I was like, wow. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I write a little bit too, but I write out of for therapeutic reasons,
You
and
find
I
it
used to let
well.
him read them.
When you say
But
therapeutic, you mean what? Like, what does it do for you?
just it's a release,
A release. Okay.
yeah, a release from when everything just then went to the max in your heart and your mind. With though, like feel like you might just explode. So you grab a pen and paper and write, or
Yeah,
another thing I found was coloring. Like
yeah.
you need an outlet. And Free Minds became that outlet.
Man, listen, like I've read a lot of your poetry, and like I said, like I couldn't relate the name to the actual poem, but now like looking for poems, I was like, man, you have a lot of talent, and I want to thank you for sharing your poetry, right? In my opinion, it's just my opinion. I think it takes courage to share, um, your work, your feelings, your emotions, whether if it's dreams or whatever, you know what I mean? It takes courage to do that, and I thank you for sharing that. You also picked another poem written by one of our members. Would you mind reading that for us as well?
Yeah. Uh, you bring it down, so there, right there. This poem is called Growth. It's by one of our Free Minds members. It reads, from a boy to a man, I've learned so much. Through all the rain and pain and the lies I've touched. Even when I was wrong, I always listened. I tried to understand. I've learned to let go and put it in God's hand. My maturity is respected by my peers. I'm not alone because I'm loved. I reflect on how far I've come over the years. Learning from one another goes hand in hand. I've grown to be a man, and here I stand.
Thank you for reading it. How do you connect to this poem?
Because to me, uh, that particular member, he expressed himself like, you always listen, but you didn't take heed. I was always listening to people, but very seldom did I actually take heed to what they were saying. And then I can also, look at the people I've hurt, your family, even your peers, people that
Mhm.
kind of seen better for me before I could even see it myself.
Yeah,
And then when it's all said and done, like they say, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. You
that's
know,
right.
right now, here I am right now. Look after all I've been through,
Hmm.
you know, look at where I stand now as a man.
And here I stand now, like the
Yeah,
poet wrote at the end, right? Um,
here I stand.
the volunteers that are with us today are they're about to partake in some feedback, poetry feedback. Is there any advice that you have for them as far as how to give feedback? What would you say to them?
My first advice would be like I always tell people, man, just don't be judgmental. You know what I mean? Whether you can relate to it, whether you can't relate to it, just try not to be, I guess, judgmental in a negative sense.
Mhm.
Um, Look at it, be open-minded, and look at it as an opportunity for the person on the receiving end, you know, to gain a lesson, some inspiration, because that same person you could be uh, communicating with, you never know the position that you might find that person in later in life. And you'd be like, wow, remember I used to write this guy, and now he's running for mayor or anything. Nobody knows. So just be genuine about it.
That's
You know,
right.
share experiences.
That's right. And I don't think people understand like how important that mail is. Like not just the feedback, because that's like one little thing. The other thing is just mail period in general. Like
Yeah.
any kind of mail is like it brings light about, you know what I mean, in those dark places. And you smile because like we was on. That's when the time everybody gets quiet and respect. Like hearing people's name and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It was just something that bring about like that connection. Another thing that I would add is like always use their first name, their poet's first name. and your feedback, your comment by using your first name. That's just like another way of putting on a friendly kind of one-on-one basis. And remember that the
Yeah.
purpose of writing the feedback is to let our members know that there is supportive community rooting for them, and we want to hear what they have to say, as well as providing a platform for our members to contribute to the community with their writings, as Vance has done in the past. And Vance, like I said, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your poetry. It is a blessing to have you amongst us to read your own poetry with your own words, your own voice. So I want to thank you for allowing us the privilege to be with us. You know what I mean? And I also want to thank everybody for coming. Please feel free to read all the poems in order to continue with this Right Week event. Also, if you would like to make a donation, please go to our website and learn how. Anything helps, even if it's $1. That's just enough to buy the stamps and send at least one or two of our members' poetry feedback back to our members. You will also find other ways to be involved with Free Minds. So please, look into that and enjoy the poems. We look forward to seeing you the next on our next Right Night. So thank you, and thank you again, Vance.
No problem, bro.